Hello, good evening, everyone. I welcome all my viewers and panelists on the behalf of Sky. Today's subject of discussion is adoption of technology by shopping malls. Technology is a part of our lives and is one of the key elements of mankind's survival in a quick phase world. Technology has brought disruptive changes. Shopping malls as major market centers have become major partners in integrating technology to retail business operations. To discuss this, we have eminent personalities from the industry. We have Mr. Yogeshwar Sharma. He is Executive Director and CEO of Select City Mall. Then we have Mr. Mukesh Kumar. He is CEO of Infinity Mall. Mr. Rahul Kona. He is Chief Technology Officer of Nexus Mall. And finally, Mr. Rehan Haq. He is the CEO and co-founder of Propel and Erklang. Mukesh Kumar shall be moderating the session. So over to Mukesh.
Thank you, Anju. Thank you very much. Let me first thank you for setting up this very interesting webinar that we have. We have been talking about this a very, very long time. We just, in fact, went to an event which was physical. I think it's a carried forward from here itself. In the past 8 to 10 years, what you notice, we have moved from e-commerce to omni-channel to the physical space. Most of malls have been trying to invest in this area. Most of retailers are looking at how to maximize their revenues through this channel. Internationally, it has been there for a very long time, but I think if you look at India, I think it just been started. Past 6 to 8 years has been very interesting, but what is really added to this is the past 2 years during the pandemic, it's only accelerated the entire use of technology in various aspects of the mall running and the relationship with the retailers. So I'm happy to have our panelists. They are from different fields. We have somebody who's new to this, Rahul Kona. He is the CTO for Nexus Malls. So very interesting to know that in the malls who started hiring CTOs as well, which I never heard of this in past many years of the mall industry. We have Yogeshwar Sharma. I think if you go to Delhi, if you don't visit Select City Walk Mall, I think your visit is not complete. He's so popular and the mall is so popular, so you better be there, and he doesn't need any introduction. He's been handling this mall for many, many years. In fact, when he was not there for a couple of months, people started missing him. Then we have Rehan Haq. He, again, a person who knows the mall inside out, worked for dealer for many years. And now he's been working with many developers, establishing malls, helping them in designing the malls, and then getting the retailers, the right kind of retailers to the malls. Welcome all of you, and let's look forward to a good discussion. Let me start first with Rahul. Rahul, you are the person. I mean, you have to take the mantle of taking this forward because we are not very a tech person much, but we have the right kind of experience. Almost 15 years experience in the tech industry. We're also working with the F&B like McDonald's, Starbucks. You know exactly how things work. Tell me where do we go from here in terms of technology for the mall? Because mall basically is digital space. There's not much of technology being used in the past. And today, even if you're looking at the sales, it's more retail driven than the mall driven. We are basically a place for, it's a marketplace. We try to get the customers, and basically it's up to retailers how to improve their sales and how to do the sales. Where we come in between? How do we make sure that we also get that kind of advantage of digital experience?
Thanks, Mukesh. Thanks for having me here, and thanks to the entire Images group as well and the Sky team. I think in terms of technology, I think as you rightly mentioned, traditionally malls have not been, you can say, great adopters of technology. However, in terms of if you look at the way that we are looking at in terms of technology, especially at Nexus Malls, the technology is going to be a key differentiator going forward in terms of how do we drive growth within the organization. Okay, in terms of multiple facets of our growth, there are key levers that we are looking at in terms of how technology will play a differentiating factor as well. One is in terms of how do we get more and more insights of our consumers. We are traditionally a B2B brand, all of us, but we don't know who our customers are or our end consumers are. Getting information about our end consumers, knowing their shopping patterns, what they are buying, how are they shopping within the mall in terms of the time that they are spending, their demographic information is going to be very, very helpful for us going forward, because that is something that will help drive more customer footfalls as well. Also, in terms of technology, I think having base level understanding of sales, base level understanding of information that is captured using all our ADSR platforms that we have, and then also doing a peer benchmarking for, because currently we handle, all of us, we handle multiple malls, what a particular brand is doing at one mall vis-a-vis other malls. Okay, and how can we then play a strong kind of a partnership with retailers to make sure that they succeed in a way that we also succeed as well. Okay, so that is going to be a key role that we will play in terms of technology. There are other facets of technology that are very, very interesting, that are going to be coming to us. I think a lot of us have begun the journey of omni-channel as well, wherein we are looking at not only having a kind of physical space, but also having loyalty programs, having understanding of our consumer behaviors, and then also looking at some kind of e-commerce as well, if not in a big way, but also in a kind of a small way, leveraging various digital models. So yes, I think Mukesh, just to answer your query, technology is going to be a key differentiator as we move forward in various facets of our business, be it in terms of brand building, be it in terms of consumer growth, and also in terms of how do we derive more business value out of it.
Thanks, Rahul. That's wonderful to know that people have been investing money on this, and this has it really changed the shopping experience to the customers? With this having that getting the experience in the digital form. When you look at a customer, he goes online to do shopping, and he comes to the mall for shopping. He knows there's a big difference. When you go to online, you've got various brands. You've got almost millions of choices what you have, but when you come to the mall, you don't have some. How do you bridge this gap? Do you think customers are looking at something very different from the mall space compared to e-commerce?
I think I don't see any difference that the consumers are looking at. I think there's a lot of perception that maybe we as retailers or we as mall operators build in terms of that we need to have a differentiating experience vis-a-vis what online players are doing. I think what is driving customers to come back to malls and come back to a physical space is, first of all, coming back to a real environment and having to be able to shop again in a kind of a real-time environment, and in terms of physical environment as such. Secondly, I believe I think online we have seen tremendous growth over the past 2 years because of COVID and because of the pandemic as well. But in terms of pure play retail and physical retail, I think if you want to buy a 25,000 rupees Tumi bag, or even to buy a Louis Philippe suit, I think that physical touch and that physical look and feel will always remain very, very important. Okay, and there is where we as mall operators, or we as, you can say, brand aggregators, will have to play a key differentiating role in terms of, say, if a consumer has come to a mall to buy shoes, what are the options that a consumer has, from a Nike to a Reebok to a Skechers, and how can we then entice consumers to make that extra purchase so that it is a win. It is a kind of a win-win both for us as well as for the brands.
If I'm going to personalize feel what you give in the mall, digital
Yes.
can't give you that feel at all. Yogesh, in past 18 months have been very tough for the mall industry. We have been almost in 18 months, we have closed almost 8 to 10 months, depending from state to state. And this has put a lot of stress on the hygiene and sanitation of the mall. How do you control the crowd? This is also, in fact, what it has done, and it has forced mall to do a lot of new things to make sure that people are safe. In fact, what if you look at after the first lockdown, malls invested heavily on this so that when the customer comes to the mall, they feel absolutely safe. This has also given us a reward in this after the second lockdown, where the footfall picked up very well. Now, tell me, what kind of investment have you made in this during the pandemic and after pandemic to make sure people come to the mall, they feel very safe? And also, where else you have invested money in terms of omni-channel, in-mall navigation, click and collect, digital loyalty? What are the investments you made on this area? Yogesh?
One second. I was on mute here. Yeah. So Mukesh, I mean, as you rightly mentioned, I mean, last 18 months were very, very difficult. I mean, very extraordinary situations, and not knowing where we are headed. That was the most difficult phase, where we didn't know how long it will take and how it will come back and all that. Definitely, it forced us to think more strongly. We had time on our hand, and we wanted our customers to come back as quickly as possible, because the challenge was that and in the second wave, after second wave, the recovery has been much faster, which is a very, very big relief for retailer as well as for the shopping center industry. Now, during this time, we have to ensure that when we bring the consumers into the mall, at that time we have to be prepared and very, very hygienic way, and sanitization was one of the most important, and keeping a count on the number of footfalls present in the mall, because there were regulatory guidelines that for particular kind of space, how many people can be together. So their footfall counting on hourly basis was one of the key point, because we didn't want overcrowding, and social distancing had to be maintained for a long, and which is still continuing. It's not that it is over. It is still, though it's diluted to some extent with a lot of like airplanes having 100% capacity and things settling down. So it is little diluted at the moment, but still keeping an count of people on weekends, on our peak hours is one of the major challenge we faced. Just to answer one connected question, that what kind of investment and what kind of measures we have been thinking of from last not only 18 months, even pre-COVID, we have like done many pilots to implement technology in a customer experience, and the result has been okay. When I say pilots were all right, but when the pilots were completed, when we started thought of implementing that solution to the mall, whether it was parking or whether it is heat maps or whether it is any loyalty program or a mobile app, there has been some challenge or the other. Either the vendor was not able to understand or put together all the pieces, because there were different vendors, and somebody overarching had to be there to connect all of these things, or it did not make a financial sense. The solution was so expensive. Like there was some technology available in Germany, we tried to buy that technology, but it was so expensive that it defeated the purpose itself. So the short point or the conclusion is that from last 7, 8, 10 years, we as a mall operator, we have been trying to use technology, relevant technology, for some consumer convenience or a collection of sales or operational efficiency, any of these segments, or analytics, like Rahul was mentioning before the call, that analytics, data availability in a structured manner, and then making sense out of that data. So there are solutions possible, but none of the solution has been able to give expected results. So there is a vendor issue also at some point in time. Either the vendor is unable to understand our problem or create a value what we are looking at, or bridge the gap of our understanding. Having said that, now I'm pretty confident after looking at what is happening in the industry, that there is availability. Now we also settled what we want as a shopping center owner. No, I mean, earlier it took a lot of time for us to understand that what actually we are trying to do. Are we trying to compete with online? No. Are we trying to sell only online and offline? And at some point in time, retailer and shopping center industry has to work very closely to create the consumer experience, because primarily we are B2B, wanting to be B2C, or keeping good connect with our shopper, because that we believe that's we bring in that consumer to the shopping center and eventually to the retailer, whereas retailer feels that it's his customer who's coming to the mall. So these two understandings have to be bridged somehow, and we are working on some projects, but it's too premature to state it like any other pilot. So I'll stop here. I mean, I hope I answered, otherwise I'll attempt.
Yes, thank you very much. In fact, and I think it's across the board, most of the shopping malls struggling to get a good vendor where you can trust the data. Data is so critical today, but unless you have a clean data which you can trust, you can't really use it elsewhere. Rehan, you have been, you work with DLF for a very long time, and you have seen how the mall has progressed, and they have used a lot of technology and for the customers, for the retailers, for the mall management. Now you have been working with a lot of new developers. You have been helping a lot of developers to establish their malls. Tell me, are they willing to make such high investment in all this technology so that they also get better return, but even customers get a better experience? What has been your take on? Do you think they're willing to invest money?
Rehan, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Rehan.
Sorry. In terms of segmentation, sir, in terms of there's a clear distinction in terms of how the established malls are operating and how the first timers or the new malls are how they are operating, and their focus in technology has been they've been a little shy of that in terms of investment. But I can tell you with conviction that in terms of most of the malls and the developers who are serious about the business will have to invest significantly in terms of the phygital engagement and physical customer engagement. This is something which I think most developers who are serious in the business, they have already invested. So you will see the apps are already in play. There are certain beacons which have already been put. There are various reports which are already being generated. So there's a lot of data which is already coming into play. But going forward, I think all the malls in some years will turn into marketplaces. I think all malls will turn into marketplaces. So the course correction which has to be done, which has actually been initiated significantly with COVID coming into play and technology being, being bestowed upon us or shoved to us, I think most developers have also embraced technology. And so have all the retailers. And phygital is real, phygital is here. So going forward, I think in terms of identification of your customers, I think in terms of personalization of how you personalize the sales experience and deals for the guest and the customers walking in, and in terms of gratification of how you gratify your customers, these are few things which are, I think, very, very important, critical, and I think it is here already. There are many players who are already offering solutions on the table in terms of how it can be adapted and can be put into practice. So I think these are, I think it's circulating between three or four things, sir, in terms of identification, personalization, and gratification. So I think these three is going to be key.
And there's been a debate that there are a lot of developers tell me that why should I invest money on technology, because that's not my strength. We are basically a physical space, marketplace for the people who come to the mall, and I rather give them an experience. Rather beautify the mall, spend more money on marketing rather than putting money on the technology, which is of no use to me, because I can't really compete with Flipkart or Amazon because that's a larger marketplace. A customer wants to buy something, he comes to the mall because he wants to have that experience. Why would I invest much money? It doesn't give me any kind of return because I can't possibly compete with them. That's not my strength. My strength is physical space. How do we handle that?
Sir, I think it's not just the problem for the brick and mortar. I think for the retailers as well, in terms of because they have a significant presence in the brick and mortar as well. So most of the retailers are now investing into a unified experience between how the experience for the customers or the deals or the pricing or whatever deals have been coming online is also available offline. So that unification process, I think, is already on. But in terms of brick and mortar has an edge of the experience, and that's the key in terms of how you enhance the entire experience of shopping. So technology has to be used in a way that we are able to enhance the entire customer engagement of the people walking into the mall. But in terms of the investment, which I think Rahul and Yogesh Saab has also mentioned that they are too expensive at this point of time, but I would say that there are many players who are entering the gamut. Since there were only a handful of players in the past who were actually offering those solutions, the solutions were quite expensive. But I think going forward, there are multiple people who have also started working on these platforms, working on these solutions. And when you have multiple players, obviously the pricing is going to come down, it's going to come to affordable levels. So eventually, what I foresee is that the cost of implementation of these technology is not going to be a changing or a life-changing decision for a developer. But in terms of adopting a unified customer experience and investment in phygital investment and keeping the customer engagement is something which will be the deciding factor going forward.
Very interesting. But Rahul, you heard what Yogesh was saying, even Rehan is saying the same thing, that it's very difficult to find a vendor who can give us all the solutions. Have you developed any kind of prototype for your company that, I'm looking at the following solutions which are not there currently? Can you join hands together and develop some of the solution which is important for the mall to have, whether it is omni-channel, or whether it is a parking system or loyalty solution, any of these kind of solutions? But we have been talking about this for a very, very long time. Do you think time has come that we all of us join hands together and develop some vendors on that? Or are we doing?
No, I think there is a lot of collaboration that we can do in this kind of a space. I think there is a lot of work that we all can get together in terms of doing it together. One thing, just from my personal experience, what I feel is, I think the vendors, I think first of all, before coming to vendors or before coming to this piece, I think what needs to be also crystallizes in terms of the business strategy that we need to have, and then formulating what we need to do, and then you can say ideation in terms of the technology implementation can happen after that. This also happens in retail as well. Okay, in retail also, if you look at it, there's no standard technology that is available which is applicable for everybody and anybody. Okay, it has to be customized for a McDonald's, for somebody else. Everything has to be customized. So that will remain true even for the shopping mall business as such. I think there are few players available in the market. However, as you can say, the technology yet in malls, because it is not yet commoditized or democratized, I would say, it's still, you can say, very few players, and we have to be left to them in terms of saying that, yes, this is what we have to do. Otherwise, yes, as you mentioned, Mukesh, I think we have to all get together in terms of saying that this is what a common requirement that we have, and this is what we want to do, and take it ahead with vendors in terms of implementation.
If, for example, what I was trying to tell you, right, if you look at the F&B industry, there is a software called Fidelio, which is generally taken by most of the F&B retailers. We talk about accounting, you have something like Tally. In your hotel software is called Idea. So there are some forms that give you something across the board for all the departments. Yeah. Unfortunately, anything like this in shopping center industry. So I think, do you think time has come to develop some of these vendors who can give us something which there's no competition here at all? It's just that, we are putting our energy together, collaborating with each other, and developing some vendor who can give us all the support.
Yeah, I agree. I think purely, if you look at the mall industry, I think we are more or less associated with the real estate industry as such. I think there are solutions available in the real estate industry, like, for example, like you mentioned, Tally or an ERP system as such. There is Yardi or SAP. They have a real estate module which works for that kind of industry as such. But yeah, I think in terms of having a kind of a standard platform right across the entire industry and making sure that everybody rides on the same piece, there's a lot that we can do together in this kind of a space, which will help the usage of technology become easier for a lot of us as such. Okay, a lot of things I would like to reiterate myself, Mukesh. A lot of things has to be derived from the business strategy itself. Okay, the business strategy has to be very clear in terms of what we need to do and how it needs to get done. And then technology is just a commodity. Okay, it's just a kind of a player in terms of being or you can say bus that is taking you from place A to place B. However, that strategy that we have in mind has to be very clear in terms of what will that help us do.
Thanks, sir. Moving away from this, this very important aspect of the mall is the marketing of the mall, promoting the mall. How do we reach out to the customers? Yogesh, the question is for you. Things have completely changed in the past 10 years time. Earlier, we used to just give an ad in print media with all the logos and things of the mall. Not anymore. Things are completely changed. The social media is becoming very, very strong. People are looking at some different experience, the selfie point, the Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitter. There are so many things. How do you think this is changed over a period of time? Do you think it's going to continue in the future, that social media is going to play a very, very important role in marketing and promoting the mall?
Thanks, Mukesh. I mean, can I request Pushpa to come in, please?
Has Pushpa joined?
Yeah, she joined. And she. Hi, Pushpa. Will you take that?
How are you all? Sorry.
Very well.
So, yeah, Mukesh. So I think, COVID more than any other event in our life has made us realize how important it is to stay connected to your community.
Yeah.
Social media does exactly that. Social media helps you in your own little microcosm community that you create out of your interest.
Yeah.
It is extremely important for malls to be very relevant in the social media space. And that's the only way you will stay connected to your microcosm community. Now, if you do something which is on, say, sneakerheads, because I'm told by millennials that sneakers are traded these days. Now, you have to be connected to that community, for the sneakerheads to be trading out of the stores in your property. So I think what's happening is really marketing is now not one brush stroke that will appeal to all. You remember we used to have those large ads with 3,000 logos, etc. All that's over. We need to really look at splitting it into micro communities, do things special for that community, and be relevant in the social media in that community. And that's what I have always sort of led DLF retail to do. And it pays us dividends because then you are appearing current. Your also the leading strategy is much more sharp because you know what works, what doesn't. Instantly, you know this activation has worked and the other activation has not, and you know what kind of consumer you're able to pull to your property and able to change the mix to appeal to for that particular community that you want. So yes, if I look at the monetary aspect, out of 100, I look at now investing more than 50 to 60% in digital media and the rest in traditional media. That's really the split, and it's working very well. So I think as we go further into this, there's going to be more and more traction in when it comes to social media marketing. It will get even more into smaller communities. You know, Instagram itself introduced Reels. Reels became a sensation after TikTok was banned, and Reels is like now vanilla fare when it comes to marketing in the mall. So I think it's key that marketeers remain current in the mall management's thinking remains current, and the only I say the message I'd like to give out there is recruit more Gen Z in your marketing team. Baki sab fossils hai.
Very interesting. But you also need to understand there are a lot of people, they're basically people are 35, 40 plus, they also are real shoppers. Do you think they bank too much on social media? They also look at print media or some other media to get the information?
So are you asking me this?
Yes, Pushpa.
Yeah.
Debate from that.
So I think, the age profile above 35 to 50 are loving social media as a statement. They send out saying, "Meri shadi ho rahi hai, meri shadi ho gayi hai, and this is what I'm doing." It's more statement related, not emotion related. The millennials are, looking at it on a more emotional level. So it's important that we are also talking to the 35 plus to 50 segment. They cover digitally. They all cover digitally, but they come and shop physically. Their comfort still lies in physical shopping, but they're all discovering digitally.
You'll have to strike a balance between both. So you're saying it will make 50% for digital and 30-40% for the print media or some traditional media.
Yeah.
There's something called influencer marketing. I see that a lot of influencers in the society today, they do category marketing. How do you use them? Do you use a lot of digital medium to really market through that?
Oh, it's actually a very interesting way of marketing through influencers. But you cannot only market through influencers because then you're only appealing to a particular segment. It has to be one of the strategies that you adopt in social media, which is influencer-based marketing, and tactically so. It's a tactical thing, not a strategic exercise, according to me. Yogeshwar, you may want to add.
No, I completely agree. I mean, there is no one society out there. Society is made of many subsets. So I have given this example several times that even if you talk about fitness, I mean, fitness now is differentiated between runners, cyclists, boxing, UFC, swimmers, the different subsets of the same fitness, and they all follow some influencers or their coaches and world-known figures. So it is important to market to them, especially because they are ready customers, they're easily influenceable. But if we limit only to them, then we're limiting the basket, as Pushpa mentioned, that we have to go all out, and then also have the focused approach that you bring in the minimum, those people who are looking forward to that information, or who will get hooked on more quickly and relate to that information that way. So I think both approaches are important. And if you see closely, what has happened due to technology is that there is a acceleration of information availability is very, very quick, and the connectivity among the people. So these two aspects has accelerated in a way, the connectivity and the information. So artificially AI, I mean, we hear this AI and AR again and again. AI, artificial intelligence is required so that we are not dependent on data analytics by a human being or applying their mind, because that's too slow and very, very, I mean, it's biased in some sense. So we have to rely on artificial intelligence, where the machine learning helps in creating some data, which is very, very clear, and we can take decisions. And second is augmented reality, where we can see the product in a way, in a reality which is not actually, I mean, there. We should, like, for example, Zara is starting, and retailers are using it in a big way, that you can see yourself in those clothes, how you will look, or how the apparel will look on a something, some person. Or even to give you an example of Lenskart, they have this mirror where you can stand, and the buying spectacle has become so easy these days that you just stand in front of the mirror, and or you can try all of the models available, and it becomes much easier. You don't need and you can click a picture and send it to your people who you want get information from. So technology, retailers are adopting in a big way, and shopping centers will have to eventually do it. We all have experimented in some way or the other, but now I think it is becoming more clearer in terms of what we want from the vendor, and vendors are also like understanding our point of view finally, that why do we need daily sales? I mean, this is very basic, but still, I mean, I can say this with 100% confidence that even despite a lot of efforts, getting 100 daily sales of retailers, which every retailer has, of all their stores in the country, a mall struggles to get it on time so that they can take correct calls.
So you have a very interesting take on this in terms of, we talk about experience for the customers, and digital experience is very, very important. So they look forward to having this kind of experience when they come to a mall as well. There's another debate what's going on currently about the data what the retailers have today. When they come to the mall and they shop in the mall, they collect some data. Now, still there's a debate: is data, does it belong to the mall? Does it belong to a retailer? If it belongs to the mall, the way it is belonging to the Amazon or Flipkart, when you shop from there. Do you think this data uses for the mall? Can we use the data for anything?
I mean, now the privacy laws are in place. I mean, the privacy laws are getting in place very, very strictly. I mean, they followed the best possible laws from Europe. So given subject to that, I think data is useful for sure. But data is only, this is my personal opinion, so please, you have to, I mean, you can easily disagree, that if I'll take an analogy in the sense that if there is a brand which is missing in the mall, people don't miss that brand, but the moment the brand is available, they buy from there. So they are aware, they're evolved, and they know the brand. Similarly, if we do not do a decor, people will not miss the decor, but if there's a decor, that's much, much better. I mean, the experience becomes much better. Similarly, if we use data properly, it actually comes down to the usage of data, intelligent usage of data, without being intrusive in somebody's life. So somebody very, very mature. So the loyalty program have to be very, very clear, because most of the loyalty programs running all across have so many conditions that people get put off. When they try to encash a loyalty point, they get put off because there are so many conditions applicable, and virtually it becomes impossible to use that credit what you have got. So there is a clear need of a good loyalty program which has very little conditions and actually useful for the consumer. So collecting data, then dissecting data, and then using that data effectively to upsell or increase the frequency of consumers to the mall. Either of it will work. And a consumer belongs to both. I mean, it's a very difficult debate that it is a retailer's consumer or a mall's consumer. Either, both of them are required to make a sale. That's it.
Rahul, coming back to you, we have almost 17 malls in the portfolio with maybe more than a couple of million loyalty customers. How do you plan to use this data? Do you think you have worked out a mechanism that you can use this data for the benefit for the mall and the retailers both?
So primarily on the data front, I think there are various aspects of data that we're looking at. And just to touch upon what Yogesh and you were discussing also in the past, you can say past query, the consumer data is the number one piece that we are wanting to utilize to our benefit. Okay, and having a kind of a loyalty app or a loyalty system which will derive more information for us and also give more value to our consumers is something that we are looking at. This will also help in terms of activations, also help in terms of knowing what the consumers are buying. So that is something that we are actively looking at in terms of the first part of the data, which is consumer data. Second is not everything and not all the consumers will, you can say, hook on to the loyalty app. Even retailers struggle that way in terms of maybe having only 5-10% of their business as their loyalty business as such. Or the repeat business as such. But and then hence we are looking at other avenues of data and the consumer data, looking at in terms of video analytics, in terms of how we can get information of what kind of consumer demographics that are coming to our malls, what is their age, what is their gender, what are they buying, where are they spending their most time in the mall. Utilizing that for doing a lot of internal piece in terms of doing a lot of internal analytics, wherein brand perception, also helping in terms of which store should be where. All of that is going to be helpful in terms of deriving value from the consumer data part of it. The third piece is in terms of the internal data and the sales piece that you all were also discussing. I think a lot of, again, insights can be driven using the sales data as well. Be it looking at us, I think we have a portfolio of 17 malls and growing as well. So looking at us, I think how a particular brand is performing at one mall vis-a-vis some other mall, how can we help the brand as well? So all of that tactics is something that we are looking at in terms of utilizing the information and data that we have, so that that's a win-win for us. And like I said in the initial part of it, it's all about partnership with our retailers, with our partners, so that in a way they win, we win, and I think that's kind of the journey that we are looking at.
Okay, sir, I would like to add to this.
Yeah.
In terms of the POS data, right now, I don't think we have evolved to that level where we are getting a deeply integrated data without any manual intervention. I think in soon, all developers, especially when retailers will be getting into an omni-channel, will have to make alterations within their systems so that the integration and collaboration is a little more transparent in terms of how the data is pushed on a daily basis, on a real-time basis, and the collection of data is a little more real. Right now, I think we do have POS system integration, but I think it's only an interface through which data is uploaded on a day-end basis. But I think with the omni-channel coming in, and also with non-GLA income, and probably the warehousing, also the dark stores also coming into play, the integration of data and collection of data will have to evolve very, very quickly.
So I've got two questions from you. One is, you have a Lookout app. How is it performing? Do you think there's a lot of download of this app? Are people using it? And number two is that we have got two malls which are luxury malls, Emporio and Vasantkunj. Again, you have something in Chanakya. Do you think the customer coming there, they behave very differently? Do you market them in different manner compared to what you do for other malls?
Okay. So, Mukesh, as the Lookout app is concerned, we actually were surprised to see the level of engagement that we got during COVID, the first wave, and a little on the second wave, because we used it as a plank for safety, and we've got a good critical mass now. So the now question is, how do we keep that engagement alive? Now COVID is over. How do you keep that engagement alive? So you know, we are not ever wanting e-commerce company. So now the question is, how do you create interactive spaces so that this critical mass, where through the Lookout app, we are able to go B2C directly and have a connect with our customers. We are looking at various strategies to keep that growing. I can't tell you exactly what we are trying to do, but we are looking at various options to keep that critical mass growing at the healthy rate that it was growing, because it's a great interface. Otherwise, all our data was linked to our tenants. We never had our own data. So this is giving us our data. So that's one. Second, it is as a mall, there are many other things that we can do to look at interaction, qualitative interaction. So, you know, that requires a lot of investments. And so only with that investment can we actually create a method in which through AI, the retailer flow through is connected to the app flow through. And then we are able to create a very powerful engine. The question would be, will tenants be willing to pay a little bit of it? Will they be able to say no? Then can the mall take that investment on? So those are the larger questions that all developers would be taking. Now, next question of yours, as far as luxury is concerned, luxury is a different product. The consumer of luxury does not want to be seen. He or she may walk into a Zara, walk into an Under Armour, but they may not, they like an exclusive community. So our marketing will always be exclusive as far as luxury is concerned, because that's the need of the consumer. It's not our requirement. That's how they see it. And we will need to cater to that, and we need to ensure that that ecosystem is distinctive as compared to the ecosystem we create for our shopping mall space.
Thanks, Pushpa. There's one thing coming very strongly about the loyalty. Question to all of you. Currently, you don't really have a system, a kind of solution like the way the airlines have or the hotels have or Amazon. They have this, you know, to earn loyalty points and burn loyalty points. How do we handle that? And number two, what's happening in international malls? Do you think they have some system like this to earn points right at the pause and burn points right at the pause?
I mean, see, wherever I have, you know, we've sort of studied a lot of international benchmarks. There is no single model which is a unique, successful loyalty model by any developer. Everyone is trying, everyone is looking at different aspects. They may be extremely good in one aspect, which may be you know, they have their stylization is good, their indoor navigation is fantastic, etc., etc. But there is not one single loyalty construct which I think is like fantastic, wow, everything is taken care of and it is sustainable. So the question that we ourselves are asking on how do we create a sustainable model where the burn is not overwhelmingly high, that we will not be able to take that on. Because if the burn is that high, someone has to fuel it. And the fueling the burn will become the burden of purely the developer. It's not going to happen. It will have to be both the retailer and the developer for the burn to get actualized. So this is a question which we were asking pre-COVID, then pandemic happened. And we do think that we should give some time to our retailers to surface and enjoy the new sales that they are enjoying now. And post this, we will discuss. But it's something that cannot happen. And I've maintained in 2 other forums before this in terms of, you know, technology, unless retailers and developer come together.
Yogesh,
Yeah.
your comment?
Yeah, I mean, no, I completely agree. There is not even, I mean, even if we for a moment consider that maybe Indian developers are conservative and they're not willing to put in a lot of money upfront for these apps and all that, and technology is also not that mature. We haven't come across, like Pushpa mentioned, we have now not come across any other mall. Like, I mean, Dubai Mall is not short of funds, maybe, as far as I am concerned, my knowledge, or Mall of America, or I mean, talk about any big mall all around the world. They are not short of resources. They are mature markets. They still, there is not even one example which we can get inspiration from or a copy from. It's not that easy. So but I strongly believe that because we as a shopping center owner, we want to own the consumer, so we have to put aside some kitty of money for gratification from the developer side as well. But largely it has to be dependent on the retailers, because ultimately the consumer is coming for those brands and they want to buy from those brands, or take some benefit from or offer from the brands, and brands are anyway giving those offers online here and there and all across. They have built-in models of offers these days, so they can create another offer model for the shopping center loyalty program. So I completely agree and feel that developer has to put a kitty, initial kitty, and then like we do Christmas tree every year, or Diwali promotion every year, or some big promotion every year. We as a developer also have to keep aside some sort of money for fueling the loyalty program, and then largely dependent on the retailer support. And they can easily, I mean, we have seen that they are creating so many offers every day, weekend offers to the midday offers to the midnight offers. So there has to be some offer for the loyalty program of the shopping center. Does this make any sense? Everybody froze.
While I agree with you, sir, in terms of the collaboration, I think being the way forward. But in terms of cost of technology, I think it's going to come down in some years to come. Cost of technology will definitely come down, and there'll be many more players who will be ready to offer technology at a much cheaper price. Sharing the burden, as you rightly mentioned, I think that is one part which will obviously be the key in terms of how you collaborate. But I think going forward, when phygital is the way forward, in terms of collaboration, is going to be much more easier, and in terms of a unified customer experience, which is also going to be a key focus for both the retailers and the developers. So once you have a unified experience with the help of phygital, I think the bridging of the gap in maintaining brand loyalty will be, I think, much more easier. So those are my 2 cents. I think Mukesh,
Rahul, will you?
Rahul, your views?
So I think in terms of loyalty, purely from a mall perspective, what I feel is that we need to just understand what loyalty means for a mall operator like us. Okay, I think why would a consumer come, or how would consumer perceive loyalty from us, and what would be the key drivers? One is our location, okay, and second is the brands that we have to offer. Okay, I think these are the major 2 pieces. Third one is of course the entire experience, the convenience that we provide within the mall itself. So these are the 3-4 parameters that we have, which drive the loyalty of the consumers towards us. Okay, and how do we then look at in terms of having a kind of a differentiated, you can say, experience using the loyalty program? Totally agree with what comments that Pushpa and Yogesh made in terms of the association and collaboration as well with the brands. However, the burn can also be experiential. Okay, it can also be in terms of not only in terms of a free gift or something, but also can be experiential in terms of what consumers would want. So yeah, that's my take on the loyalty program that maybe malls have to offer. But yeah, I think there needs to be a deep study in terms of what works. And of course, for us, I think what is important is that we need to start somewhere. I think there is no benchmark even retailers have in terms of what loyalty works, what does not work. We need to start somewhere, test that program, see what the impact of that program is for us, and then look at how do we upscale that piece of technology and that program itself. So yeah, that's what I feel in terms of the entire loyalty program as such.
Great. My final question to all the panelists. Where do you see the industry is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of use of technology for promoting the mall and increasing consumption from the mall? Starting from Pushpa, Yogesh, Rehan, and then Rahul. The last one from Rahul on that.
Can you repeat the question, Mukesh?
Where do you see the industry, shopping center industry is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of use of technology for promoting the mall and increasing consumption from the mall?
So I think malls will increasingly become experiential centers. Okay, there will be 3 mall types. Grade A plus malls will be experiential centers, which would showcase what that brand can do the best that it can do, which it cannot always showcase online. And those places, the retailer involvement of technology and the developer involvement of technology will become very high in the grade A spaces. And on the other hand, there will be certain other spaces that will come up which will address the ease. See, there has to be ease in shopping and ease of convenience. So there will be certain brand of malls that will come up which will address the ease and convenience aspect. Over there, technology, smart technology will make a big role, but it's not going to be high investment technology, because over there, the brands that will also be there will be brands which would be to the ease of shopping, and hence they'll be more service oriented, etc. So those places, technology will be more in the running of the property rather than showcasing. Then there will be the mid-level guys who would adopt some technology, but not really all of it, because they will be constrained. So, you know, where that's how we look at DLF malls also headed, and think that properties will be very, very high on technology, will be definitely looking at increasing consumption through technology. Then there will be this other set, which is actually the technology is the backbone, but not the front end, and is really answering the ease of or daily living ease of consumers.
Yogesh, your take on that? What do you?
Yeah, I mean, So I feel that, within 3 to 5 years, 5 years is like a little far away. Within 3 years, I believe that the omni-channel will be available in malls in the true sense. At the moment, we are only talking about it, or some bits and pieces of it happening. But within 3 years, I think we will be able to do omni-channel in true sense. And there will be enough technology available, not at a very huge cost, and to spur the growth, because otherwise, how do we upsell? Because there is an inflation, there is rent increase every 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. So there is growth is required. Retailers are bound to sell more to afford the spaces. So the next growth, significant growth, will only come if we use technology and the connectivity between the retailer and at the moment, no, some retailers are shy of sharing the information. It's my database, my customer base, my sales. But eventually, we are in the same boat. We all have to rise above these small issues and trust each other, and to sell more, to bring in more consumers, higher conversions. So I feel that we are all ready to take a kickstart now. And 3 years to 5 years, it will be a very, very, very good combination of usage of technology. This webinar today is just a beginning, in the sense we have had many such seminars, but now it is becoming concrete. And within 3 to 5 years, I think we'll be there where we are talking about.
You think the data is very important today to grow further?
Yes.
Rehan, we have a very difficult task. You work with many developers. How do you want to achieve this? What do you see next 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years time? How do you like to see your malls to be?
I think in the next 5 to 10 years, I think all malls will turn into a marketplace, and I think there will be significant thought and plan and strategy in terms of how you are not just concentrating on your GLA income, but but you're also concentrating on your non-GLA income. And your non-GLA income will also be a significant portion of the kind of revenue that you're generating for the mall. So while we already have a lot of technology which is already into play and is only evolving every day in terms of how we are managing, conceiving the mall and how we are creating an experience, I think we're talking about how we able to identify our audience better. I think from that point of view, in the next 3 to 5 years, I think it'll be much easier with the data that will be available in terms of identifying your customers, knowing your customers, personalizing your entire experience for the customers, and also gratifying your customers instantly. I think these are I've been mentioning it a couple of times, but I think I firmly believe that with the phygital, in the next 3 to 5 years, collaboration will be key, and in terms of focus on non-GLA will be key, and in terms of how you create a unified customer experience will be the key.
Rahul, your last word on this. You're a tech guy. What has been your vision for your malls in terms of technology?
Yeah, I have the difficult task of going last year, as in just to summarize, maybe I think I agree with all the comments in terms of what technology has to offer for us. I strongly believe in terms of a differentiating factor. I think technology will play a key role. I think in terms of malls and experiences, like we called, what plays a key differentiating role is in terms of experience, the brand that the brands that we have to offer. And then there will be technology as well, because then we will have or malls will have a key insight in terms of what consumers are doing, what consumers are buying, how are they buying. So all of that stuff will play a key role if technology is being used wisely. I believe in terms of a lot of things that we spoke about, not to say that in 3 to 5 years this is going to happen. A lot of key small steps needs to be taken. A lot of maybe small pilots needs to be done, trials needs to be done from a lot of us, so that we also experience or we also take technology forward in our respective companies and test out how the usage of that technology is. Because I think what COVID has definitely taught us, I think a lot of brands underwent digital transformation, and they had no option because their entire business was shut and all. I think rather than coming up to that level, I think we have to slowly take steps in terms of making sure that we are ready for whatever happens, and make sure that consumers come back to us either in terms of convenience or for the brands that we have to offer, or for the differentiated experience that we have to offer. So that is, I think, my key take for the next 3 to 5 years. In terms of what technology will play a key role for us.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you very much. Thanks, Yogesh. Thanks for your insight.
Thank you.
Pushpa just stepped out. Again, very important to hear from what she is the technology going to use in the shopping center industry. Anji, do you have time for any question, to take any questions from the audience, from the viewers? Do you have any question now?
No, we don't have any question right now.
There's one question from Devinder.
Yeah.
Can somebody answer this, Yogesh? With increasing website app business across globe, should malls also start thinking to have an omni-channel strategy and bring all brands the range of products under their website app?
I can,
online giants. Please go ahead.
I can attempt this because I mean, like City Walk stayed away from creating an app because we felt that app has to have a lot of information, convenience, and offer. It has to be a full product. If it is half baked, then it will be like any other app, and people will not keep it on their phones for longer. So a good app which integrates the loyalty, offers, information, convenience, all aspects of a shopping center, then it will be then people will love to keep it on their mobile phones. So therefore we feel app is a must, but before some shopping center launches it, one has to be very, very careful that how will we sustain it. Launching is easy. I mean, no, mobile apps are available, like we can make mobile app very quickly and put it on available, but how to sustain that app again comes back to the partnership with the retailers. How do we create the loyalty and then sustain the loyalty? So we are working with a couple of vendors to finalize the app, which we believe should be able to serve the purpose. but we are yet not there. But to answer, yes, mobile apps are must for a shopping center, but it has to have a lot of meat into it so that people are able to, consumer are able to keep it on their mobile phones.
My take on this is very simple, that you can create an omni-channel strategy for the mall, because we can't possibly compete with any of these bigger guys, because they have better data, they have better technology. But you can integrate your website with the inventory of all the retailers within the mall, and consumers, before coming to the mall, they can block any product they want to buy. I think it's going to create a win-win situation for the retailers and the mall together. But we possibly, our strength is always the physical experience. That's a strength. I think we should basically use our own strength, what we have, rather than getting into competing with any of these app-driven marketplaces. And over to you.
Okay, so thank you, Mukesh. The session was really very interesting, informative, and enlightening. And all the panelists, they have shared their experiences. And I'm really thankful to all of you for sparing your precious time for us. Thank you, all.
Thank you very much, and have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Stay connected.
Thank you.
Stay connected.
Bye.
Yeah. Use technology to stay connected. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Stay connected.
See you.
Bye.
Bye, Rahul.
Hi, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.